In today's Leeds news, new scholar deals, music running order change, Leeds keeper interest confirmed. Today's Rumour Mill stories with Milinkovic-Savic and Savic Weah. Morning folks, welcome back to The View. Thursday morning, the 3rd of July with your Leeds United news. Back in the green room for today. A one-off yesterday. We were at an event over in Leeds, a couple of content creators and Leeds fans attending a bit of an event in Leeds yesterday, so didn't want to miss out on the opportunity. Knew I wouldn't be around to do a news video, so I thought we'd get up to Ellen Road and try and do some stuff while it was quiet around the place. So glad that I got to do that. A lot of people seem to enjoy that, so just a one-off though. So before we start the news today, just to send out our thoughts and prayers to the family of Diego Jata, who passed away yesterday after being involved in a tragic car accident with his brother 2 weeks after his wedding. He leaves behind a young family, so tragic news, but we do send out our thoughts and prayers and best wishes to his family at this difficult time. Let's move on and start off with our news today, and we'll talk about the Leeds United Scholars deals that were signed this week. Leeds have announced that 15 underage players have signed scholarship deals with the club for next season. That will ease some of the fears from some of the fan base around certain individuals that were named in this list. Harry Gray was amongst the list of scholars to sign a new deal at the club yesterday, and Gray became Leeds' 4th youngest ever player when he made his debut last season. And it'll be some consolation after Leeds had Oliver Boast and Finlay Gorman poached away from the Leeds Academy over the last 2 seasons. So it is, as I say, relief to tie down Harry Gray at this point. Gray is expected to sign a full pro deal in October when he turns 17 years of age, and is being described as being unlikely to move away from Leeds this summer, despite the fact that Spurs have been circling the wagons and trying to get a deal done for the young attacker. The scholars have signed 2-year deals, as I say, and that will at least give them some immediate assurances over their short-term future, and we wish them all the best next season. The other names of players that were confirmed in this list are as follows: Aidan Thompson, Callum Mills, Karakinjenko, Isaac Bridge, Jacob Howard, Jacob Watson, Joe Baskaran, Kenneth Mensah, Logan White, Louis Whitehead, Louis Philpott, Miller Megson, Oliver Wood and Sam Alker. And as I say, we wish them all the very best for the coming season, and we'll see who can make the breakthrough and get into the Leeds United first team over the next couple of years as well. But a good bunch of players coming through. We'll keep an eye on them over the course of the next couple of years and see how they get on. Let's move on. Let's talk about a music running order change, because we're back in the Premier League, and one of the weirdest stories that we'll see at this point of the year is this one. And with Leeds back in the Premier League, they will be forced to incorporate one of the least popular elements of the Premier League, and that is the Premier League Anthem. Widely criticised as unnecessary and a little bit pointless, Leeds will now have to rejig their music selections before the players walk out onto the pitch in order to incorporate this season's intro. According to the minutes from the recent Supporters Advisory Board meeting, the club hopes to gauge the consensus of the fans on whether they would give their backing to a different song being played as the players come out of the tunnel. This would then be followed by the league anthem before Marching On Together is played just before kickoff. The YP understands that one of the songs being considered is that Strings for Yasmin will be played as the players come out of the tunnel, then followed by the Premier League anthem and then Marching On Together before kickoff takes place. The SAB will consult with members groups around this. We'll stick a poll out on Twitter and on the community tab as well. A poll, not a quiz. Doesn't matter what colour the option changes. We'll put it out anyway and gather your thoughts on this as well. I personally am a fan of the fanfare for the common man that plays just before Strings for Yasmin. I've always been a fan of it. Hairs in the back of your neck. It's about the only place I have hair on my head. So yeah, I would be a fan of that one to continue. But they've got to rejig this. It's pointless. It really is a pointless anthem. Just trying to copy the Champions League. There's no need for it, but it is what it is. Let's move on. Let's talk about some goalkeeper interest. And Leeds have been linked with multiple shot stoppers over the course of this summer, and despite reports to this, Leeds have not said to have made any moves for a goalkeeper and have not held talks with anyone at this point. Leeds are said to be patient when it comes to this position to get the right one rather than rushing any deals. According to Baron Cross in The Athletic today, Leeds are said to be interested in Lyon goalkeeper Lucas Perri, but is described as one of a number of names on a shortlist. Cross explained on X that no bids and no talks have taken place at this stage, with Lyon focusing on their relegation appeal. If Lyon do survive in League next season, they may still have to sell some players due to their financial issues, but if they do stay up, they will be involved in European competition next season. That could be a factor. Perri is also attracting interest from the Saudi Pro League as well, so money will be a major factor in this as well. Leeds are said to be closely monitoring the situation of Lyon and will act as and when there is more clarity to the situation around the goalkeeper, and the club right now, they're completely focused on that and not letting anyone leave in a fire sale just yet. But he is a very impressive goalkeeper. is Lucas Perri. So we'll see what happens with that situation. Let's move on and go into the rumour mill territory. And as I always say, these are back page stories from less than credible reports, but the more credible of the less credible, if that makes sense. I'll give you the details. You make up your mind, but I wouldn't lose any sleep over these players because they're likely not to be involved with Leeds anyway. Let's start off with the first one, and that is Vanya Milinkovic-Savic. And according to reports coming out of Italy today, Leeds are said to have some interest in Torino goalkeeper Vanya Milinkovic-Savic. There are multiple reports in Italy linking Leeds with a move for the goalkeeper, but as I said, these are not coming from what would be described as overly credible sources at this point. The 28-year-old goalkeeper is 6'8" in height. He's made 37 appearances last season for Torino as they finished 11th in Serie A. He was linked earlier this summer with a move to Napoli, but they appear to have turned their attention to former Leeds United goalkeeper Elia Caprile. Some detail on Savic. Well, he is a bit of a monster, as I say, 6'8" in height, and he's a very, very strong XGOT. An XGOT is the goalkeeping equivalent of XG. It basically says what a goalkeeper should have done versus the quality of shot that he has faced. His XGOT is plus 10, which is remarkable for any goalkeeper. Jordi Petrovic, who was my personal choice, who Leeds were said to not be interested in at all, had a plus 6 one on that. And to put it in comparison, Ilan Meslier last season had a minus 2.8. So very, very strong goalkeeper. Very, very big goalkeeper just in stature as well. But at the moment, I would say this one is very, very much in the rumour mill territory. Leeds are looking for a goalkeeper. Their name has been thrown around with lots and lots and lots of keepers at this point. But as Baron Cross has said, Leeds haven't made any moves for any goalkeepers at this point. Moving on to the next one, and that is Savic Weah. And according to reports coming out of Italy again today, Everton and Leeds United are both said to have interest in Juventus winger Savic Weah. Weah's move to Nottingham Forest collapsed last week over personal terms, and reports now claim that Leeds and Everton have both stepped up their interest to bring in the attacker. According to Fabrizio Romano, Marseille are also said to be interested in the USMNT International, and Weah is the son of former World Player of the Year and AC Milan striker George Weah. The fee for the player is said to be anything in and around €12 million, so about £9.5–10 million. There will be add-ons having to be added to that as well, based on the deal with Nottingham Forest that was moving through last week. But Weah started 18 times for Juve last season, was involved in 30 games overall, scored 5 goals and added 2 assists during his time during that campaign. However, as I say, Leeds are said to be waiting on the Manor-Solomon situation to be ironed out over the course of pre-season. Other reports today say that Leeds are not in a rush to bring in a wide player at this point, that they will be patient and will wait to see what happens with Manor-Solomon as Thomas Frank has a closer look at him over their pre-season campaign, and Leeds will then maybe, depending on that situation, make a move for Manor-Solomon towards the back end of the window, similar to last season, I suppose. They want to see him in pre-season, they want to see how he gets on. Based on that, I don't think Savic Weah is a likely move for Leeds United. I would say that to you right now. I don't think he's the calibre of player Leeds would look to bring in that position either. And again, didn't start a whole lot of games for Juve last season, but was involved in 30, so very much a bench option for them last season. He's been decent for the USMNT, but yeah, for me, I wouldn't put an awful lot of stock in that one at this point. The other details to bring up to speed on are the Noah Sadiki situation as well. We saw yesterday that Sunderland have agreed a deal for Noah Sadiki on the back of agreeing a deal for Habib Diarra. Baron Cross in the Athletic today also pointing out that as far as he's been told from sources at the club, Leeds did not make an approach for Noah Sadiki and did not put a bid in. We go back to this story, we covered a bit of it yesterday, where initially it came out from Sasha Tavalieri, but Sasha Tavalieri also linked Leeds with Josh Sargent and Beto as well this summer. Joe Donoghue in the Yorkshire Evening Post said that wasn't true, there was no truth in that. Cross did confirm afterwards that there was interest in him, but he was said to be a name on a shortlist. Leeds didn't make a formal approach for Noah Sadiki and didn't put a bid on the table. So at this point, Leeds lost out on a player, and there's all this conversation with Leeds and Sunderland. There's plenty of other clubs in the mix for players this summer. It's a long summer, and Leeds will get their targets as and when they walk in the door at the moment. And we've seen 2 players come in with no leaks at all around them. So lots of conversation around Anton Stack potentially coming to the club as well. So we'll see what happens in that one. I'm not getting overly worried about it or concerned about who's a bigger club, Leeds or Sunderland, or who's gazumping who to transfers. Sunderland spent an awful lot of money on players, and it should be pointed out as well, Noah Sadiki and Habib Diarra will miss 6 games this season when they travel to take part in the African Cup of Nations in December. So Leeds would have missed those players for games against Man City, 2 against Liverpool, Arsenal and Chelsea up in the November and January period as well. So not the end of the world, at least this season. 2 very good players, but Leeds have other options, and we'll see what they bring in over the course of the next couple of weeks as well. But I wouldn't be losing my mind over this just yet. It's very early in the window. We'll see what happens over the course of the next couple of days and weeks. Folks, that'll be it for me today. Massive thank you as always for supporting the channel. Back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Until then, talk to you soon. Mind yourself. Bye.